Thank you, Madam Chair, and to members of the head table and all the distinguished gathering. I want first of all to thank the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce for having this very timely seminar and for inviting the PIOJ to participate in these discussions with you. We're asked to look this afternoon at the nature of the Jamaica Logistics Hub and its relationship to the Jamaica Growth Agenda and the implications for funding and competitiveness. And we are all aware of the general economic context. We're in a program of very deep adjustment in a context where the economy is not growing, and the challenge in the near term is how can we extract stronger growth from the context of the very deep adjustment that we're facing. And in that context, we want to look particularly at the role of international interconnectivity in terms of facilitating the stronger growth which we are seeking for. Now, the government of Jamaica has embarked on a growth strategy which is geared towards systematically tackling the long-standing binding constraints which have resulted in the country's underperformance. The strategy is also geared at stimulating sustainable inclusive growth through strategic investments and social transformation. This strategy is consistent with the Vision 2030 Jamaica Plan and the medium-term socio-economic framework 2009 to 2012 and 2012 to 2015. The main components of the growth strategy are as follows. Firstly, fiscal consolidation. Even though fiscal consolidation is seen by many as being anti-growth, we posit fiscal consolidation as being an essential part of the Jamaican growth strategy, because without debt sustainability, the government in the medium to long run will have no resources to facilitate basic social and economic infrastructure, let alone economic growth. So fiscal consolidation, we have initiatives and reforms geared at placing the debt on a sustainable downward path, for example, in terms of tax reform, public sector management reforms, and so on. Then we have a set of structural reforms, and these seek to improve competitiveness through the reduction in the cost of doing business. For example, in terms of business climate reforms, energy reforms, and so on. We consider social transformation, social protection as being an essential part of any economic growth strategy in Jamaica. One of the factors limiting growth in Jamaica over the last several decades has been low and declining productivity, and we therefore see social transformation in terms of how people live, how people are educated, the health facilities available to people, the economic opportunities available to people, as being essential to facilitating a growth in productivity to generate the type of stronger economic growth which we desire. So we posit the social transformation as being an essential part of an economic growth strategy. And then the matter of strategic investments, large strategic investments. And we note here that the government has been aggressive in facilitating major catalytic and strategic investments in order to foster more robust economic growth. And various projects are ongoing in the areas of agriculture, tourism, energy, logistics, ICT, and so on. Now, these strategic investments, these large strategic investments, they're very visible and they're very attractive, but I want to posit that they will not in and of themselves solve Jamaica's problems of chronic, low, and anemic growth. But what they will do, they can give a fillip to growth in the short run through accelerated investment, through accelerated economic activity, and they can be a catalyst to other forms, other associated forms of economic endeavor, which can actually push the growth envelope in the short run. From as early as 2007, during the preparation of the transport sector plan for Vision 2030, Vision 2030 Jamaica, the strategic opportunity for the country to be a major transshipment hub was articulated. There's no doubt that Jamaica, based on its geographical location, well-developed maritime infrastructure, and the projected increase in trade flows from the Panama Canal, is strategically positioned to reap the benefits once we so organize ourselves so to do. Against this background, the GOJ's medium-term socioeconomic framework 2012 to 2015 focuses on expediting the phased and integrated development of the key components of the global logistics hub. The successful rollout of the various components of the project will contribute to the country achieving several national outcomes as articulated in Vision 2030. These include strong economic infrastructure, world-class education and training, an enabling business environment, and internationally competitive industry structures. The establishment of Jamaica as a global logistics hub has strong implications for the country's international competitiveness based on the type of hard and soft infrastructure required for the hub to operate and compete at world-class levels. Much of the required infrastructure is already being facilitated through government intervention. However, there are numerous other initiatives, programs, and projects to be implemented for the realization of a globally competitive logistics hub. Collectively, if we as a country are able to achieve the following, it would certainly significantly improve the country's ranking on key indices of competitiveness, connectivity, and technology, and dramatically change the way in which we conduct business. So, some of these things are already in train, some are things to be done, but we need, as we say, to continue developing and implementing key seaport and airport facility development. So there's the ongoing effort for the privatization and expansion of the Norman Manley International Airport, for example, the deepening of the Kingston Harbor, and the modernization of Jamaica Customs. Then there's the leveraging of information communication technology to enhance the efficiency of port operations, to smooth the flow of imports and exports, early warning of cargo flows, values, and so on, and to facilitate electronic interface between various users of our port facilities, port and airport facilities, the ports, the trade board, customs, and also possibly entailing the generation of statistics. Then we have structural reforms, which would include business environment reforms. We have spoken a lot about the enhancement of access to credit, use of collateral, bankruptcy provisions, tax reform, including tax incentive reform, energy reform. These are some of the structural reforms which are being undertaken to facilitate the doing of business in Jamaica. We would also have the matter of public sector modernization to enhance the efficiency in which the public sector administers and facilitates economic activity in Jamaica. The creation of special economic zones to support product assembly and light manufacturing, breaking bulk and redistribution. The essential importance of human capital development, training a workforce with the requisite skills associated with the various levels of the value chain, and our training institutes are involved, including the Caribbean Maritime Institute, the Hart Institute, and the universities of the West Indies and University of Technology. The development of the internal road and transportation network, advancing the construction of the north-south and east-west links of Highway 2000, and there's ongoing consideration of the role for rail in the movement of goods within Jamaica. The expansion of the broadband network to support the infrastructure for logistics and the movement of information and the movement of cargo is essential in the build-out of our capacity for managing this logistics hub initiative. I want to mention, before leaving these factors, that in all of this, we speak a lot about port development, a lot about concrete and steel, a lot about information, communication, technology. But there are other softer skills which are also essential in terms of enhancing our capacity to manage a logistics process. And I mention here the imperative for cultural shift, that it has to come across as being centrally important that as Jamaicans, we need to enhance our capacity for time management and our values and attitudes relative to doing things on time, doing things efficiently, and accomplishing things as committed. Okay, so this cultural shift, as we're saying, is also an essential part. Apart from all the concrete and steel, our attitudes to doing things, to work, to accomplishment is essential for facilitating our capacity to manage the transformation necessary here. Given the level of investment required and the current fiscal position of the government, the Global Logistics Hub Initiative would be mainly financed by private sector interests. The scale and the scope of the investments required would dictate that given the scope, the scale, and the technology, that the process is likely to be led by direct, it will be led by direct foreign investment. But there is a role for domestic private investment, that there's opportunity for the local private sector to invest and to participate, perhaps through public offerings from the major players, the capacity to participate in light manufacturing and assembly, cargo handlers, including truckers, and so on. Our international development partners will provide support through key interventions. For example, in terms of conceptualization of the different aspects of the project, and perhaps in terms of providing some seed capital in terms of facilitating the build-out of the various investment initiatives. I want to stress here that in terms of the financing, government is facing a major debt constraint, and it is seeking fiscal consolidation for debt sustainability in the medium term, which implies that government cannot be a major source of finance for this initiative. So it is therefore dependent largely on private investment and on support from our international development partners. In conclusion, the Global Logistics Hub Initiative is a game-changing project with strong linkages and benefits for the average Jamaican, small and large firms, and the country in general. It provides the opportunity for the emergence of a new sub-industry and the expansion and modernization of existing industries, and significant human capital development through the expansion of skills within the labor force. It is a catalytic project that will lead to more robust economic growth with employment opportunities at all levels of the value chain. This is an opportunity that Jamaica should seize, and we all have a role to play as we work together to ensure that Jamaica becomes the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.